Secret of the Silver Key, written by Phyllis J. Perry. Hey warrior friends, welcome back. We are ready for chapter number 7. Fribble dashed home from school. He scarfed down his snack, and without even being asked, he went upstairs to do his homework. Fortunately, he didn't have very much. But when it was done, he breathed a satisfying sigh. Finally, he had time to read and learn more about the hobby of his favorite postmaster, Fleet Milton. Fribble's nose gave a little twitch of joyful expectations. Fribble laid on his stomach on his bed, and he happily started thumbing through the 2 books about stamp collecting that he had checked out from the school library. And in no time at all, Fribble was hooked on stamps. Wouldn't it be fun to start a stamp collection? No wonder Postmaster Fleet Milton was a collector. As he laid there, looking at one fascinating stamp after another, Fribble felt a little nagging memory at the back of his mind. Had he forgotten something? Something important? What was it? He sat up straight and he thought hard. He knew he was right on the edge of remembering what it was. Yes, he already owned some stamps. Those loose stamps that were in the envelope in his treasure chest. Quickly, Fribble jumped up and he went to kneel beside his treasure chest at the foot of his bed. He unlocked it and pulled out his baseball cards, mitt, cap, and ball and dumped them into a heap on the floor. When the chest was empty, he pulled the little velvet tab and removed the bottom, revealing the secret compartment underneath. Fribble remembered that there were 2 envelopes in the secret compartment of his birthday chest. One held the old newspaper clipping and the other one had stamps in it. Fribble took out the envelopes and he found the one that held the 2 loose stamps. The stamps seemed to be identical. Fribble took them over to the window where he could have the best light to examine them. They were pale blue. At the bottom of the stamp were the words 5 cents. On the right and on the left was the numeral 5 in a small circle. In the center of the stamp was a drawing of a big hot air balloon with the name Buffalo written on it. And at the top it said balloon postage. Fribble frowned and he sat very still, slowly stroking his whiskers. Balloon postage? What could that mean? He knew that letters got to his house in a mail truck, and he knew that some letters are marked air mail and they're flown across the country in airplanes, but he didn't know of any mail that had ever been sent by balloon. Fribble carefully put the stamps and the newspaper clippings away. He replaced the red velvet bottom, and he put his baseball stuff back into the chest. Then he leaped up, checked to see that he had his little spiral notebook and the stubby pencil in his pocket. He grabbed his jacket and he raced down the stairs. In the kitchen, Fribble stopped to tell his mother that he was on his way to the library. Again? His mother asked. What are you looking for now? More information about stamps, Fribble explained. Can I come too? Scamper called from the family room where he was building a castle out of blocks. Sure, Fribble agreed, but hurry up. They walked quickly down the street to the library. Mrs. Scurry smiled when she saw them. Well, what are you 2 looking for this time? She asked. Balloons, Fribble said, and I think I know how to find them. He led Scamper right past the librarian's desk and over to the computer. Fribble clicked on Search the Catalog, and then on Word, and then he finally entered in balloon. To his astonishment, the computer screen said that there was 93 titles that matched his search. Well, Fribble quickly started to read them and dismiss them one after the other. Making balloon animals, taking a balloon ride, Belinda's balloon, Benjamin's balloon, the silver balloon, the red balloon. Drat, Fribble said. None of these are what I want. I guess typing in balloon isn't enough. I'll try airmail balloon. Carefully, Fribble typed in the words. This time, there was only one match. Fribble read the description. This book was a fiction story about a little girl who wanted to send someone by balloon to the moon. He groaned. This book won't help either, Fribble said. His whiskers drooped. Well, what kind of book are you trying to find? Scamper asked. Well, I'm trying to find a book that will tell me if the mail had ever been sent by balloon, Fribble said. Maybe we need some help from Mrs. Scurry, Scamper suggested. So Fribble went to the librarian and told her what he was looking for. She looked puzzled. Well, that's a hard question, she said, leading the way back to the computerized catalog. Let's try airmail history and see if that gives us anything. Up came a title on the computer screen, Flying the Mail. Its call number was 383.14. Why don't we go take a look? Maybe it'll mention balloons, Mrs. Scurry said. So Fribble wrote down the call number, and all three of them went to search. Fribble found the book, and he carried it to the table. He stared at the heavy book filled with small print. I don't think that this book is for second graders, he said. It'll take forever to read. Well, it is for adults, Mrs. Scurry agreed, but you don't have to read it all. Let me show you. We'll look up balloon in the index and see if it's mentioned. She flipped to the back of the book and she ran her finger down the index until she saw the word balloon. Here it is. Her voice sounded excited. Fribble leaned in close to see where she was pointing. Thanks, he said, pulling the book closer to him. It says to look on page 127. So quickly he thumbed through the pages, and on page 127 he saw the heading Balloons, and he began to read aloud. Balloons have sometimes been used to carry letters. They carried mail during the Franco-Prussian War in 1877. In the United States, balloons used to deliver mail with the first air mail stamp. During a flight by an American balloonist, Samuel Archer King. Fribble stopped reading. In 1877, he said. Wow, that's the same year as the newspaper clipping about Postmaster Fleet Milton. What else does the book say? Asked Scamper. Nothing, Fribble said. His whiskers drooped again. That's all. Well, that was pretty short, Mrs. Scurry agreed, but it did give us 2 valuable clues of where to look next. What clues? Fribble asked. Well, it mentioned the first air mail stamp. Is there a book of firsts? Fribble asked. As a matter of fact, there is, Mrs. Scurry said. On our reference shelf, we have a book called Famous First Facts. She led the way over to the reference section, and she took down the book and handed it to Fribble. Do we look in the index? Fribble asked as he carried the book back to the table. That's right, Mrs. Scurry said. Under balloon or what? Asked Scamper. Well, let's try Postal Service, suggested Mrs. Scurry. She watched as Fribble turned to the back of the book to find the index, and then looked down the entries. It's here, Fribble squeaked. There's lots of things under Postal Service. Well, look for stamp and then balloon, said Mrs. Scurry. Fribble looked down the list. What does it say? Asked Scamper. That we need to look on page 216. So Fribble turned to the page and he found a short entry. He read it aloud. The world's first adhesive airmail stamp was issued in 1877 for a private flight by American balloonist Samuel Archer King. Only 300 stamps were printed. The stamp was used on mail carried from Nashville on June 1st, 1877. The wind carried the Buffalo balloon to Gallatin, Tennessee, 26 miles from its starting point. Nashville, Fribble's eyes shone. Remember, Postmaster Fleet Milton went there. And just think, Fribble said. They only made 3 buffalo balloon stamps, and I have 2 of them.